Hello. Today we're going to be going through all the books I read in 2021 as just a little bit of a get to know me almost. I don't know. I'm trying this out. We're trying to figure out what's happening here. So yeah, honestly, I think I'll just get started. I don't think there's much of a need for an introduction. My name's Faye. I like reading. That's the general consensus of this. The first book I read in 2021 was 1984. It was for school. I was rereading the book. I don't know where my copy of it went. I had a copy at one point, but I cannot find it, and I don't really care to look right now, so hopefully it turns up again. Maybe it doesn't, maybe it does, who knows. I don't really care because I don't like the book. I think it's weird, the slight age gap. It's not even slight, it's an age gap between Winston and the one chick. And the fact that I don't remember her name is telling because she's just used as an object. And I'm sure this has already been beat to death by other people, but I don't like 1984. I don't think it should be required to be read in school because it's not even a good dystopian. It's so simple in the way it's written, and books can be simple and be good, but it's basic in the way it's written. It's not simple, it's basic. It's a basic book that people try to get you to read, and it's ridiculous. I don't like it. 2 stars. That's me being generous because I like dystopians. Oh, I found my copy. It was on my shelf. Imagine that. Second book I read was, I reread The Catcher in the Rye. Favorite book, not favorite book, but it's like in the top like 10, 15, so 5 stars. Great book, love it. If you haven't read it, read it. I'm just gonna keep tapping on it because I'm so enthusiastic about it. And I'm upset that a lot of people hate it, but also people have opinions, so, you know. My third and fourth books for the year, and this is where I realize my list is super out of order because I don't know what happened there, are the 2 Critical Role Vox Machina Origins graphic novels, comic books. They're a compilation of the comics. I love Critical Role, so to me these are 5 stars. Not just because, you know, it's Critical Role, but just because the story work of it all, the art is amazing. In the second one, there's even an improvement within how they color the characters and how they draw them. I love the way they did Percy. It's very good. It's very good. It's so good, and I love it for that. And it's just, I love them so much, and I will never hurt you. It's just, I love these books so much. My 5th book for the year was Educated by Tara Westover, and it is honestly, why is there a bookmark in this? I finished this book. Maybe I started rereading it. It is honestly one of my favorite memoirs. It's like, I haven't read a lot of memoirs, but it's up there as my favorite, one of my favorite 15. But it's just, I think I just relate to Tara a lot. Not because I experienced the life she lived. Obviously, I'm not growing up in a junkyard. But it still is, you know, there's some little things that you just get like, oh, like that seems... And so, I don't know. There's just little things that are there that you relate to. And it's... Even just growing up with femininity and her brother's ideas and how he was so anti-makeup and all that stuff, and growing up in a world where it's very pro-makeup, but you maybe don't feel that way, you know, it's just, there's little things there where you just latch onto them, and it's beautifully written. It's amazing that she was able to live the life she is living to this day. So, 5 stars, beautiful, favorite book. Let's go. 6th book I read in 2021 was The Gender Game. I don't love this book. I rated it 4 stars on Goodreads, but I'm now realizing it was more like a 3 star, maybe even a 2.5. I don't like how they don't play with the idea of trans people. I mean, you know, because it's so black and white in this world, and it's just ignoring the... Another bookmark. I don't know why do I have all these bookmarks in these books? I don't like the way it ignores that facet of our world. It's written well enough. It's not bad. It's just annoying, and personally I don't like it as somebody who doesn't fit within the binary. So yeah, it's just, it's not great. I hope I'm gonna read the sequels in 2022, hopefully. But it's just, I don't like the exclusivity. It's fine, it's just a simple dystopian romance. It's not anything terribly inventive. There's a lot of dystopian romances out there, especially, yeah, it literally says for the fans of Hunger Games and Divergent, you know, after those two books blew up. So I don't know, like 2.5, 3 stars. 7th book I read was The Immortal Soul Salvajar by Beth, and I love this book so much. It is honestly one of the best books of poetry I've read in a long time. And I also love Beth, so, well, love as like a parasocial way, you know, in a way where I don't actually know her, I just know her poetry and Dungeons and Daddies. So it's very good. I think one of my favorite poems in here is the love letter to the body in 10-pound length, or the Immortal Salvajar, which is the namesake of the book. It's just something you can latch onto, and I genuinely think this is one of the best books of poetry I've read in a long time. So 5 stars. I'm giving a lot of high ratings this year. I don't know why. I'm feeling very generous, I feel like. Number 8 I read was No One Is Too Small to Make a Difference by Greta Thunberg. I don't remember how to say her last name. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's just a compilation of all of her speeches given to places, and it was interesting to read them. Interesting to see the differences between the different people she's addressing. As much as my parents laughed at me for buying this book at a Barnes & Noble, I really enjoyed reading it. I think it's something we definitely need to be thinking about in the near future, about our global footprint and how we are impacting our world and how we aren't too small to make a difference. Number 9, I believe, in the books I read last year is A Lesson Before Dying. One of my favorite books of all time. I think it's really honestly one that people should read more. This is a copy I got from Thrift Books, so it has some libraries stickers on it, which is a little annoying, but at least it's not annotated, and so honestly, this is like a book that I'm like so drawn toward just as a person. I obviously am not a person of color, and I've never experienced racial discrimination in the US, but it's so just, the writing of it is beautiful, and the ideas that it presents, it's just very, very good. Very good. Very good. Number 10, I believe. 10? I don't know. I lost track of the numbers. I think it's 10. I read is Matched. I really enjoyed it. I have thoughts about the sequels, but I enjoyed this one. I'm not really normally a fan for TV romance dystopians, just because they're so oversaturated and there's so many of them, but I enjoyed Matched. I thought the concept was really interesting, the idea of it all being very ceremonial and stuff, so it feels very unique and specialized, but it still is that very systematic, you know? So I don't know, I gave it 4 stars. I figured it's good enough. So, yeah. Next 3 books I read are One of Us is Lying, One of Us is Next, and Who Can Keep a Secret, all of which I rated 4 stars, all of which I thought were good murder mystery type books, and I enjoyed. I like the way Karen McManus writes, and I think that I'm really interested to see what she can write in the future, so that's really my only thoughts on those books. I also read the selected letters of Laura Ingalls Wilder. I went to the Laura Ingalls Wilder Museum this year in Wisconsin. It was in Wisconsin. I'm sorry, I'm looking at a map on my wall. It was in Wisconsin. And it, honestly, I haven't read all of it technically, but I'm considering it I've read, because just I read most of it, and I'm like, it is just letters to people, and it's really interesting to read as someone who was a big fan of her work. Is a big fan of her, what she'd made as a woman in the 1890s to 1900s. You don't see a lot of that. You didn't see a lot of it, and especially into her later years, you know, she made it all the way into, you know, 1940s, so she saw a lot in her life, and I think it's really cool to look at that. Another book of mine that I read this year is actually being borrowed currently by a friend of mine, but it was The Sun Is Also a Star. I thought it was fine. I don't see what all the hype is about. It's just another YA novel in my opinion, which might be a little harsh. I think it was interesting to talk about the racial dynamics in the US, and I think that's something that always is very interesting to talk about. But it to me was just, you know, okay. It was a 2.5 star. It was fine. So the last book I read in 2021 was The School for Good and Evil. It was a reread, and honestly, this book, every time I read it, gets a little bit more interesting to me. Currently sitting at a 4 star, so I think it's, I don't know, I need to finish the series because I have up to 5 and I need to get 6. But I just haven't finished 4. I've started 4 like 3 separate times, so I need to finish those. That might be a goal for 2022. So yeah, overall, good book. I don't like the little bit of queer baitiness at the end where they, I don't know. There's, if you read it, you know, but there's just a tiny thing and I'm like, oh, come on, just full send or don't do it, you know. Overall, this year I read 16 books. My goal was 25, but due to certain issues that popped up in my life, I'm honestly fine with having read 16. My goal for 2022 is to read 30 books, and I'm already on track for that goal, so it's gonna be great. Other than that, I think this is the end of the video. If you liked it, consider subscribing or commenting, doing the things that people tell you to do at the end of the video. My name's Faye, and yeah, I don't know what else I'm saying. I'm just gonna keep rambling for like 30 seconds until I cut myself off, because honestly at this point, you know, I don't know how to end the video, and I don't want to, I'm just doing a lot of things with my hands, you know, and I don't know what to do, and eventually I will